I want you to imagine for a moment that you have a friend. Her name is Anna, and you know her very well because you went to school together. She's a very reliable person, although she has become a lawyer. And one day, Anna, she comes back from a big holiday, and she spent all her money, so she comes and asks you to give her a loan of $1,000 since she just spent all her money on traveling. Now, you want to think about this. Since you're a risk person, you want to estimate how much money you risk losing. So how do you start with this? Well, first, you might want to start thinking about the probability that Anna will stop paying, the probability of default. And actually, you think this is very low because since Anna is so reliable, you estimate it at 1%. Next would be the loss given default. Now, imagine she borrowed $1,000, but you ask her to leave her expensive watch. Since $1,000 is a lot, you ask her to leave her watch, $200 worth of watch, as a collateral with you. Now, if Anna doesn't repay, your loss will not be $1,000, but $800 after you sell the watch. This will be your LGD. So this way you reduce your LGD, your loss given default, right, from 100% to 80% by recovering collateral. So those are the two main components. Then the last component is, of course, your exposure at default. We said Anna borrowed $1,000 from you, but maybe she says, well, I know I'm going to need another $500 next month as well. And in that case, your risk isn't just $1,000, but it's maybe $1,500 next month if she borrows the other $500 that you promise her and then stops paying. So here really is the basic, very simple of the ECL. But now Adela told us a lot about the forward-looking component, right? And this is where it gets really interesting because you start thinking about Anna's future. You look at the news and think about forecasts, and you know she's a lawyer. And you know that with the recent AI developments, lawyers' jobs are actually a little bit endangered, right? So there is a pessimistic scenario in which Anna might lose her job. However, you do know that Anna is an IT lawyer. So you think actually that the optimistic scenario is more likely in her case. And you estimate the overall forward-looking adjustment to be pretty stable, about 100%. You just think that Anna's risk of default stays pretty much the same. So now you have all the components for your total expected credit loss. It is that 1% times 80% times the 1,500, and you end up with an ECL of 12. So you think this is really a risk you can take, and you lend her the money. And you can see here how we used a combination of external forecasts, the AI impact on lawyers, with the real thinking about your particular, Anna's particular client segment, right? Lawyer, and even her particular subsegment, IT lawyer. And then you applied your forward-looking indicators that really fit Anna. But so now, expected credit loss of 12, you can live with that. You decide to give her a loan. Now, what happens on the way to her actually if she were to default? How would this change the way that you calculate the ECL? Because this is the other big part of ECL calculations. Let's look at it. So when you disperse the loan first, Anna will be in stage 1. The loan to Anna will be in stage 1. She has a stable income. You feel quite sure that she will repay. But then Anna, she's quite adventurous. So she decides to suddenly join an exciting startup company. It's exciting, but it is a bit more risky. She gets a salary from the startup company, so she still has money and she's still paying you, but her risk just increased. This event, when Anna changed jobs, we call significant increase in credit risk because her risk increased since disbursement. And that's when you move the loan to stage 2. She's still paying, but her risk increased. But then the startup company fails. Anna loses her job. And while she's looking for the next job, she's asking you to actually delay the payments for several months until she comes back on her feet. And that event, which is much more serious, since Anna is now not paying anymore, this is what we call a credit impairment event. And that's what moves her loan into stage 3. Now, this is all well and good, but why does that matter? Because it can really affect how much you need to provision for your loan to Anna, and therefore your profitability and your capital requirements. So for stage 1, you just need to consider the 12-month PD, or the 12-month ECL. Whereas for stage 2 and 3, you start thinking about the full lifetime of the loan. And you might even want to estimate the time until Anna will have a stable job again and start repaying. And you might have to do time discounting to reflect that it will be later than you thought. So this is really the basics of the ECL model. But there is one thing that sometimes we tend to forget a little bit, and that is, what if it's not Anna asking for a loan, but it's your problematic cousin? And they're not paying their bank loans, and they're just, the troublemaker. And they ask you for money and you say, well, fine, I'll give you a loan. But you know that their credit risk is higher. This scenario, this is what we call credit impaired at disbursement. And this kind of loan is a POCI, or purchased or originated credit impaired. And if a loan is disbursed in POCI, it always remains in POCI. And we calculate the lifetime ECL of it, because we think it's quite possible that it will default, and we look at the lifetime.